Shalom, family. This is Brother Eliah, and today we'll be discussing the doctrine of Balaam as well as its significance today. Now, in order to see how our people have been deceived and led into sin and destruction for the last 400 years, we must develop a proper understanding of the doctrine of Balaam. As always, study to show yourself approved, Israel. Developing a sound knowledge of the scriptures is a key starting point in our walk with Yah. It shouldn't take us 30 years to read the script, okay? Let's be diligent in our study of the word so that we can develop the discernment necessary to tell truth from fiction. Without further ado, let's get to it. When the Messiah appeared to the Apostle John, or Yehukanan in Hebrew, he spoke of Balaam the prophet. Let's read about it. Revelation chapter 2, verses 12 through 14. And to the angel of the church of Pergamos write, These things saith he, which hath the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. To understand the reference that our king made, we have to first understand the story of Balaam. Who exactly was Balaam? Balaam was a prophet who was hired by Balak, the king of the Moabites, to curse Israel. Balaam consulted with Yah and was told that he cannot curse what Yahuwah has blessed. Balak tried to get Balaam to curse Israel 3 times, but all that Balaam could do was pronounce blessing after blessing upon Israel. In the end, Balaam and Balak gave up on their little scheme and parted ways. However, Balaam showed Balak that he could get the children of Israel to curse themselves by violating the covenant through idolatry and sexual immorality. This is what the Messiah made reference to in his message to John in the book of Revelation. So let's read about the fallout from the doctrine of Balaam in Numbers chapter 25. Numbers chapter 25 verses 1 through 8. And keep in mind, this was right after Balaam and Balak parted ways. Okay, from the top. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. And the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against Israel. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, Take all the heads of the people, and hang them up before Yahuwah against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahuwah may be turned away from Israel. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, Slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly, so that the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. So here's the takeaway. Balaam knew that he could not curse the children of Israel directly. So what he did was approach Balak on the cool and say, Hey, I know I couldn't curse them, but you can get them to curse themselves by sicking your women on them. Have your women seduce the men and entice them into having an orgy and worshiping your gods. In that way, they will curse themselves. And fundamentally, that's what the doctrine of Balaam is all about. It's about getting the children of Israel to lead a life of sin so that they will be continually destroyed under the curses contained in the covenant. It's important to note that the book of Numbers never records this conversation between Balaam and the Moabite king Balak. However, our Messiah confirms that it happened by mentioning it in Revelation chapter 2 and verse 14, which we just read. So now that we have an understanding of who Balaam is and what his doctrine is all about, we can really get into the heart of the matter. And that's the fact that Balaam's doctrine is alive and well today. Those who seek money, power, and status continue to lead the children of Israel into sin in the modern age. So let's talk about Christianity and its so-called shepherds. There's your boy, Creflo Dollar, the $65 million jet setter, mega pastor, super Christian. This man teaches that if we are to attain victory over sin, we should not have any relationship with the law, including the 10 Commandments. Now, don't believe me. I've attached a link to the video below for your reference. You check that out when you get a chance. Now, this is a perfect example of the doctrine of Balaam at work. This dude is so deceitful that he teaches that to have victory over sin, which is scripturally defined as the transgression of the law according to 1 John 3 and 4, we must disregard the law entirely. That's so incredibly backwards, I don't even know where to begin. Yet, he's leading many astray who are babes in Messiah. Let's get on to your boy T.D. Jakes. This man is so confused that he teaches that the Sabbath is any day, every day. Again, don't believe me? The link to the video is also below. Now, keeping the Sabbath set apart is a commandment. Ignoring this was a sin so great in the day of Moses that people were stoned to death for it. This is a big deal. To make light of it is to lead many astray. This is particularly shameful because keeping the Sabbath is a sign of the covenant. We are a covenant people, and it is our continual violation of the covenant that has placed us in our current condition. Men like T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar perpetuate our destruction by teaching our people to embrace sin by calling it grace. False prophets like these two are mentioned in 2 Peter chapter 2, and they are in fact compared to Balaam. Let's check that out. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, heresies like disobeying the 10 Commandments, heresies like failing to observe the Sabbath. Moving on. Who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the master that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Let's jump ahead in the chapter. Verse 12, but these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are in blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls. An heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam the son of Bosor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass, speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. Men like T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar are the false teachers prophesied by Peter. These are men that speak evil of the law because they don't understand the law. They're so busy seeking after money and fame that they cannot stand for the truth of the scriptures. These are one example of how the doctrine of Balaam is being propagated in the modern age. Another example would be modern day hip hop. So let's continue to expose the modern day incarnation of the doctrine of Balaam by getting on this. You know, hip hop started off as a conscious movement. If you take a look at some of the work done by the progenitors of the genre, like Grandmaster Flash back in 1982, you see that they were telling the story of our struggles. They were not promoting depravity in our community, they were exposing it. They were telling the truth in trying to raise consciousness. But by the late 80s, the entire genre had been hijacked. Suddenly, you had gangster rap promoting drug dealing, violence, and pimping. The tone of the genre had changed. There was a celebration of the destruction of our community. Young men were growing up learning how to emulate the thug life that was promoted and celebrated in the music that they listened to. Gangster rap came to be a defining point of the black experience. And I know this because I was born in 1983. I grew up during the so-called golden age of hip hop. Now it only spiraled down from there. By the late 90s, you had cats like DMX on the scene who had tracks where they were having full-blown relationships with Satan. See, Stevie Wonder could see the demonic influence in an album like this. And I say that to my own shame because I was a huge DMX fan back in the day. In fact, I own this very album. Now, right around this time, Juvenile released a very influential album. It was called The G Code. See, at this point, there was this lionization of the gangsta life, complete with full-on codes of conduct. You know, there's even a song by the Notorious B.I.G. called The 10 Crack Commandments, which was a rap song literally about how to sell crack. Now, what's truly telling is that rappers have gone from promoting drug sales to promoting drug use. You got these new cats like Trippie Redd and Lil Xan who proudly promote drug use in their lyrics. You can clearly see that there's an agenda here. Music executives like Leor Cohen have profited from the destructive lyrics put forth by the hip-hop genre. Now, please notice that the folks way behind the scenes of all of this, they do not look like us. They are not our people. Though many of them, just like King Balak and his boy Balaam, know exactly who we are and how to keep us in spiritual bondage. Indeed, how to profit from that spiritual bondage. So I want to touch on the financial links between media conglomerates and private prisons. Check this out. Now, I'll post this link to this article in the description box in this video. It's well worth a full read. Let me just hit this excerpt. Now, this comes from Musical Hegemony. According to public analysis from Bloomberg, the largest holder in Corrections Corporation of America is Vanguard Group Incorporated. Interestingly enough, Vanguard also holds considerable stake in the media giants determining this country's culture. In fact, Vanguard is the third largest holder in both Viacom and Time Warner. Vanguard is also the third largest holder in the GEO Group, whose correctional, detention, and community reentry services boast 101 facilities, approximately 73,000 beds, and 18,000 employees. Second nationally only to Corrections Corporation of America, GEO's facilities are located not only in the United States, but also in the United Kingdom, Australia, and South Africa. You may be thinking, well, Vanguard is only the third largest holder in these media conglomerates. which is no guarantee that they're calling any shots. Well, the number one holder of both Viacom and Time Warner is a company called BlackRock. BlackRock is the second largest holder in Corrections Corporation of America, second only to Vanguard, and the sixth largest holder in the GEO Group. There are many other startling overlaps in private prison/mass media ownership, but two underlying facts become clear very quickly. The people who own the media are the same people who own private prisons. The exact same people. And using one to promote the other is, or would be, depending on your analysis, very lucrative. Such a scheme would mean some very greedy, very racist people. So let me really boil this article down. The same people selling you gangster rap, which convinces you to do things that'll end up landing you in prison, are the same people who own the private prison for profit. Get the picture? It's a setup, man. Okay? There are numerous reasons for the weaponization of hip hop, and it's time for us to wake up as a people and really pay attention to what's going on. I want to close out this portion of our discussion by reading a blog post entitled The Perversion of Hip Hop. And again, I'll be posting a link to this in the description box below. Let's begin. Hip hop was such a beauty when she was young. She walked like a queen to her own rhythm. Her walk alone was contagious. Others couldn't help but join in her rhythmic stroll. She was never afraid to speak up. Originally, her goal was to make injustices known throughout the world, whether these injustices be personal or societal. Her voice was heard. Every so often, her authenticity was mistaken for rudeness, but that wasn't her intention most of the time. She stood her ground for many years until she fell for a monetary trap. Hip-hop signed a contract with an industry to make her voice more widespread, but she didn't read the fine print. On one paper, in the middle of a 500-paper contract, in very tiny letters, a clause read, "Your voice is ours, and we can direct it as we see fit." She then had to read a script. Whatever script brought in the most money, she would read it. You often hear her advertising drugs, disrespect, and violence because people pay for drama and negativity. Ever since then, hip-hop has been careful with what she says. Her public persona, mainstream, is usually whatever sells. Most of the time we see her in public wearing something very revealing, made with expensive material in just enough diamonds to hide her soul. Outside, she looks like any man's wet dream, but on the inside, she is dying from the pressure that's caused by hiding her voice. The only way that she can relieve this pressure is behind closed doors, going underground. She lets out her voice as loud as she wants, there under a different persona and a different look, so her contractual cohorts won't recognize her. Hip-hop may be perverted to the public eye, but those who see her behind closed doors know that she is still a queen. Now, there's one more aspect of the modern-day doctrine of Balaam that I want to discuss. Politics. President Obama is the perfect example of how politics is used to keep us in spiritual bondage. Woo! When Obama was elected to office, people were acting like the kingdom had come, man. People were cheering in the streets. They were drunk on jubilation. People were crying tears of joy. But all that Obama really brought us was an even deeper descent into spiritual darkness. Are you starting to get the picture? The jackassery needs to come to an end, Israel. We need to stop falling prey to those who push the doctrine of Balaam and return to the covenant by keeping Torah. Let's draw a distinction between those of us who teach, glorify, and co-sign lawlessness. And let's teach our children to draw that same line of distinction. As always, I appreciate your time, family. I give all praises and glory to the Most High Yah, and great honor to the King of Kings, Yeshua HaMashiach. Shalom. I'll see you next video.